Hey everybody, welcome back to Steel and Story. We're going to be doing a little review today of the GC 77. So this is one of the runs that GC put out this year in 2025, and we're going to do a little combo review here. Mostly going to just review this one, but we'll do a little compare and contrast. First off, you'll see like all these are carried, so we're not going to be worried about the fingerprints or anything like that. We're mostly just going to look through them and kind of get my thoughts on them and see what you guys all think about them too. So right here from the bottom up to the top, we've got the Gabon Ebony 77. Let's see, put this down real quick. This one is the Checkered Rawhide Rich Light. All right, so that's from the run that was this year, and I just brought out my 77. This one's from the 2016. It's one of the ones that I've been carrying this week, and it's been kind of shown in some of the videos that I've been doing recently. So we can kind of compare and contrast them a little bit, but mostly we just talk about this one, and maybe we can go in depth more if somebody out there wants to see them closer, but this is kind of like my favorite. I've been carrying this one a lot. And as you can see, holds up pretty well. The Gabon Ebony is pretty resilient. And I would say the most controversial thing, it seems like, at least on the internet, is that people keep talking about the action with these. And I'll tell you what, I actually like the action. It is probably a little lighter pull, but I'll move this over. And so, by the way, there's nothing exciting going on with this tube. It's a pretty typical tube. Top looks like that. Talking about tubes, this one's the one for the Rich Light. What's it called? Checkered Rawhide. A little different looking. I think this one actually looked kind of cool. But we'll put that aside, and like I said, we might dive into that a little bit here. I'll put these here for now. Make sure these aren't rubbing. But again, here's the fit and finish. As usual, excellent. GC's got it dialed in. They have for some time. And what I like about this is just, I said I wasn't going to worry about fingerprints, but we can't help it. What I do like about their work is that every aspect is dialed in, like pins are flush. And, you've heard it all before. They're not messing around with any of the fit and finish here, but the one thing that they are kind of, maybe messing around with is the pull weight is a little bit light on these. So I would say for this, you've seen people do kind of this test. I don't know. I would say maybe a 5 or a 6, if you will. It's kind of obviously subjective, but it's I'll tell you straight up, this run right here, this is again a different knife, but these 77s from 2016, I mean, I don't know if you could hear any difference there, but there is definitely a more stout, I would say that's a 7 pull if you were. So these, they definitely pulled back on the spring tension, but what you're not, I think what's missing is really I think people, the thing that bothers them is the snap. It's not quite as pronounced, it's kind of just a little bit, lazy, but I personally think it's great. I like a nice, what I would call a pull without any kind of struggle. I personally like it. Now, with that said, when this came out of the box new, or the tube, it was gritty. And so flushing, especially the pen blade for me, it was like to the point where when you closed it, it didn't even get back to half stop. And from half stop, it went like down here and it would just stop, and you'd have to almost push it down. So there was no snap, but you flush it with some, in case you don't know, or in case you never know who's watching out there. But if you're new to slip joints, you do want to oil your joints and your pivots. So I'll put some like right in here, or you can put some right in there. And so you put a little oil in there. You kind of open and close it, put it in your pocket, whatever. Like the more you use it, you'll notice that the snap is there. So now you can tell snap's there. You can, there you go, you can hear it. It's snapping. So I think they're dialed in. It's just maybe not what people are used to. Plus, when you get a really hard pull, I find what happens with a hard pull is, and I'll pull out a different knife. For instance, this is an 86, a little bit larger, but when you get, it's just easier for me to hold. So I'm pulling this out. When you get a larger, tougher pull, you get this like snap. You're gonna not feel maybe little bits of grit or anything like that. When you have a lighter pull, it's gonna affect the action more. And I think that's what people were seeing, and they were like, "Oh God, it's awful! What a bad run." I happen to love them. I'll snatch them all up if I could, but that's kind of how I feel about this run, and I love ebony, so I'll take an ebony cover any day of the week. And I do like the pattern in terms of the configuration here, the clip point and the pen blade. I don't think there's a more attractive clip point. GC's got this dialed in. The only thing I would love, and again, this is a different trim, but if they ever put a long pull, of course it's a different kind of pattern model, but this knife, ebony, with this bomb shield, perfect. The fluted bolsters, perfect. The end cap, oh, I mean, they almost nailed it completely. Only thing I would say would be if they put a long pull on there, but honestly, it's not even needed. In fact, really, the nail nick I think is more appropriate because of the long pull is mostly obscured when you're dealing with a two blade configuration like this. So you'd have to almost do a nail nick, and you can get a long pull anyway. So sometimes, I don't know, it kind of bothers me. Sometimes you'll see two blades laid like this, and one will be a long pull and one will be a nail nick because the pen blade is kind of obscured. So that to me kind of bothers me sometimes. There's just a symmetry here with two nail nicks, but we're getting really in the weeds here. But that's what this is all about. It's about the details. The other thing that never occurred to me is why they don't ever put the, I mean, there must be a reason, but no one ever really thinks about putting a long pull on the other side. I guess there is a kind of like a more traditional reason of it being like a right-handed pull, kind of wouldn't want one on this side, but I don't know. That's something I guess we could explore. But that's the Gabin Ebony. And by the way, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it. I'm gonna be honest. I've always said Gabin, but it could be Gabon. It could be a lot of things. So tell me in the comments if that's how you're pronouncing it, because I just call it ebony. Ebony's. I'm not a wood expert. It is what it is. While we're here, we might as well just talk about this one too. Make it a double. Let's do it. A double review because we're already in this. Same configuration, really. It's the pen blade, and then we've got the clip point. It's literally the same knife. This is another pattern variation that people poo-pooed, and it's the they're calling it the raw hide checkered rich light, but I'll tell you, at least for me, this one was snappier. I would say this is a solid maybe 6 pull, 7 pull. I don't know. To me, I think that this is well, appreciated, I guess. People kind of poo-poo it, and I'm over here thinking I've never seen GC do a pattern like this. There's something kind of cool to it. The font, I think they nailed it. I think the way the lettering kind of peeks up out of the checkering, I think they nailed it. I think there's a certain vintage, kind of almost like a hardware store knife from the, decades ago kind of vibe. And I think they nailed it. And it, by the way, if you haven't held one of these checkered ones, I mean, this is by far the best gripping knife cover. You're not. It's not as slick as this, and it's not. It's probably tougher than this. It's going to be tougher than wood because this. I just feel like this is going to hold up. I feel like this is the kind of knife where you could use this. You could literally, make this a user, and it would hold up. And if you're really worried about it getting your hands wet, you're actually using it. I'm telling you, this is not going anywhere. So I really do think this is being slept on, and potentially in a few years we could look back and be like, yeah, this is I mean, we've seen ebony before. We've seen, they had all these other bone materials, of course. We've seen that before, but we haven't seen this. So I don't know. For the collector, this could be where it's at. And I just think that it's just as handsome as this. It's a different carry. It's a different vibe. But I personally like this one a lot. When I saw it, it kind of stood out to me because if you've been looking at these knives for a little while, you've seen a lot of this. And while this doesn't get into the territory of being too modern, of course, I do think it kind of brings a different variation. Like I think what happens is we get stuck in there's some Jack Wolf and other people are trying to modernize traditionals, but we get stuck into these natural materials. It's always wood, it's always stag, it's always bone. But like, let's dive into what else we can do, and different patterning and different materials and different colors. The world's still kind of exciting. The only thing I would say is, I don't know. The lettering, the font is this way. I always feel like it should be the opposite way. I mean, that's my only complaint. I feel like I hold my knife this way. This is the show side. Why is it upside down to me? I don't know. Anybody else feel that way? I mean, I guess if you laid a knife like this and it's faced up, you would look at it this way. I don't know. What do you guys think? Also, is it too much to do it both sides? I don't know. I know this is the show side and this is blank, which is, I know, is the traditional approach, right? You have your shield on this side and then you have your blank. But I don't know. I feel like there's a symmetry that I search for. Anyway, this is if I were to say, if I couldn't have the ebony, I would say this was the other one that I really kind of stood out to me as a collector, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think this is I wouldn't go to this as my favorite of all covers, of course. But I think people have just gone way too far. They're poo-pooing this, and hey, you can pick these up all day. It feels like every week I run into one of these posted somewhere for sale, and I would pick one up. I mean, it's a great pattern. 77 is probably the pattern for me, other than maybe the 15, right? Like the 15 pattern is this one, and in terms of just for me comfort and size, I would say these are the two for me. They always have been, but right now is the time you can pack these, or you can pick these up and put them in your collection, because I don't think people are really giving these any kind of any credit. And again, your mileage may vary, but I find that this was the weaker pull, this was a stronger pull. This is from back in the day, let's see, the 2016. They just made them different back then. Everyone knows that, the pulls and everything, the action was stronger. But you know what? I don't always equate strong pull with a better knife. I really don't. Anyway, it's kind of a mixture of a review and more of just my opinions on it, but hopefully it gives you a good idea about this release. I think that this is the knife of this year, in my opinion. I've been carrying it. I love it. I I don't think there's anything I would improve here other than, like I said, maybe you could play around with the long pull. I mean, I know people don't always like long pulls, and they definitely don't like the match strike long pull, but I think this knife nailed it, kind of. There's not a lot more I would change about this knife. So I think if they put the long pull on here, it would just be kind of a game ender for me. I would just carry that and never look back. But I really like the bolsters on this. I really do like that it's a double-ended bolster. I think that's what they call this, right? You know, you let me know, guys. Tell me what that's called. But I think it's double-ended bolster. I forget what the end cap is called. And anyway, yeah, I think it's great. The only thing maybe some people have pointed out is maybe the secondary blade could be something different. But I think these pen blades are perfect. People are a big fan of the long pen blade, and I would agree. You can really pretty much almost use this. So you could use this most of the time, and then whip this bigger one out for, like a more um, bigger tasks. But or vice versa. You could use this all the time and keep your pen blade real sharp, right? And just use this for, like, sharpening little things and doing whatnot. So that's it, guys. Just wanted to break these out because, I had them. I've been carrying them. I got both of them this year. I'm pretty blessed in that way. And then actually, I just reacquired this. I found this. I've had it. I didn't sell it or anything. I shouldn't say reacquired it, but um, kind of refound this after having lost it. And this is from prior years, but I have just been in love with this. Always have been. I lost it, devastated, now refound. So I've been actually just on a 70s, just happened to be a 77 kick, but they're great. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.